I'm no snowmobile expert, but I don't think that's good. So now just the washers are holding it on. I forgot to take this off, and then I tried to spin it over, and the engine would go just a little ways and get stuck, and you could go backwards a little ways and it'd get stuck. So today at Southern Minnesota TV, we're going to be working on my 1980 Arctic Cat Jag 340 snowmobile. This is it right here, 1980. Free air model. Doesn't have a dash because that got broken when I ran into a fence. Added these for extra foot non-slippage stuff. But what we're really here to do today, the biggest thing we're doing, is that this cylinder, when I put it, a thermometer, an infrared thermometer on this exhaust pipe, and this exhaust pipe while it's running, this one got up to 60 degrees more than this one. So this one's running a lot hotter than the other one. There's got to be something wrong there, and I'm going to try and fix that today, along with a bunch of other problems this snowmobile has. So before I started tearing into the engine, I knew this chain case wasn't holding oil because I put some in and it all was out on the floor the next day. And I look in it. There's chunks of ice in it. Well, no wonder my track kept being frozen. It's all stuffed with ice back here. I'm no snowmobile expert, but I don't think that's good. That right there, that pile of ice and oil is what I got out of that chain case. That is a big mess, and there is a big leak in that chain case where a lot of water got in. We're gonna have to fix that. Great, just finding more problems as I go. It's pretty typical. Man, I wonder why my snowmobile doesn't have very good brakes. The brake motor is still attached. It should stop, right? So I cleaned up the chain case real good, brake clean and everything. Reinstalled all the parts because I took all of them out. That should be good to go now. Now I'm thinking, hopefully that holds oil first because I put a whole bunch of a gasket maker on it. On the gasket itself and everything. So that should hopefully be sealed up. And now, since this cylinder is running 60 degrees hotter than this cylinder, I have reason to believe this one is running leaner than this one. This one's running good and that one's running lean. So I'm gonna check for vacuum leaks on the intake manifold. Because there's only one carburetor and it splits into two. So it has to be something on this side of the carburetor. So I haven't even got to tearing apart this intake yet to see if there's a bad gasket or something on there. I just wiggled this steering handlebars. That's what they're called, handlebars. You can see how much play they have. Well, if you look down in there, you can see that the bracket that holds this whole thing on is aluminum, and it cracked on that bolt and that bolt. So now just the washers are holding it on. You can see that when I turn it. So that part is shot. And as you saw, there was ice in here. And it has a lot of other problems too. Every time I try to start it, I have to put a bag over the exhaust. Or not the exhaust, the intake to start it, or I have to put ether in it to start it. So there's something wrong there too. This thing has lots of problems. I've decided I'm gonna ignore the steering because it still works. I took the carburetor off and all the bolts for this intake manifold. Now it's time to pull it off and see what it looks like. So the side that I thought was actually leaking, had a vacuum leak because it was running lean, running hot, was this one that has the perfectly fine gasket. it looks to me to be perfectly fine. This one was probably fine before I took it off, and it ripped when I was taking it off. But I have a new gasket set that I bought from eBay. So I don't know if that's the right gasket for that. That looks right. Oh yeah, and there's one more. Yep, just like that. So I'll put new gaskets on there just in case. Yeah, this does not look like it was the problem. So I pulled the cylinder or the jug off the engine. I put a new gasket down there, put it back on. Took a little bit to try and get the jug or the cylinder back over the piston. Ended up using this as my piston ring compressor. Took quite a few tries to try and get it, but eventually I got it. And then I forgot to take this off. So I was trying to press that cylinder down, but it wouldn't go all the way down. So I was trying to tighten up the 4 bolts around it, trying to pull it down. I don't know what I was thinking. And then I tried to spin it over, and the engine would go just a little ways and get stuck, and you could go backwards a little ways and it'd get stuck, and it was hitting this. So luckily I remembered this before taking it all apart again and having to recompress the piston rings. But this was my problem. I think it's gonna work. Spins over all the way now. So now I'm gonna throw it back together. Hopefully these new gaskets that I'm gonna be putting on a new head gasket too. Just all the gaskets, hopefully they fix a leak somewhere and that makes it run better. Bolted the cylinder down nice and tight. Seems good. Seems like there's no hose clamping it this time, so it actually spins over. Now I'm gonna be throwing the exhaust back on and then move to the intake. It's coming together now that I got that cylinder on. Now I'm gonna throw the new intake manifold gaskets on and throw the intake on. Then we can put the carburetor boot on and the carburetor. And then we gotta put the head on. Should be ready to run after that. Okay, just like that. Should be ready to fire it up, get the engine to temp, because I torqued the head bolts to 24 foot-pounds. And then I'm gonna heat the engine up, warm it up, and then torque them to 26 pounds. Then the snowmobile should be pretty much ready. Not all of its problems are fixed for sure. For sure. It has lots and lots of problems. So I think that's gonna do it for today's episode. If it runs. Let's see if it runs, guys. So now I shut it off. I was testing this while it was running too, but just to show you guys, now that it's off, this exhaust pipe is reading about 240, and that one is reading about 240. 230, 240, 240, 230. So they're right even with each other. I love that. That means we fixed something today. Yeah, I'd consider it a success now that we did that and it runs good. There's only one last thing to do now. And that is to throw the sticker that came with my gasket set on the snowmobile. I figure since it's a pretty good looking sticker and I used quite a few gaskets from that set, I better throw it on. There we go. Thanks for watching to the end. Rebuilding this Jag 340. And since there's no snow on the ground, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. I had a really fun time with this. Learned that you have to take the hose clamp off the piston when you try and put the cylinder on. And I fixed the overheating problem with one cylinder. See you next time on Southern Minnesota TV.